Good morning, everybody on YouTube land. Hope you're all doing fine. I'm going to show you today how the epic journey went on the map and on a list. 2 years ago, I began a search and I went up and down the Colorado River, Bullhead City, Lake Havasu City, Parker, Quartzsite, Yuma, all great places. Great winter havens, places to go in the winter. And then I decided what I really need is a summer home. So I went out through Kingman, out to Williams. I love Williams. Flagstaff, went up to the Grand Canyon, camped around the Grand Canyon for quite a while, and took one trip down to Sedona, and then went back to Southern California, back to work. The next year I had 3 weeks off. I went up from Southern California through Sacramento, up to Orland, Corning, Red Bluff, Redding, Shasta Lake, came back down, went up to Paynes Creek, came back down to visit my family over here, Yuba City, Marysville, Grass Valley. Then I went up through Downiesville, through this mountain Gray Eagle here, the Sierras. Went around this way up to Lake Almanor. Went around there, came out through Susanville. Then I went up to Eagle Lake, back down, headed down towards Reno. It's in the crack of the map here. Turned off and went back through Gray Eagle and down back to Grass Valley. Then I went from Grass Valley back through Yuba City and Marysville, through Williams, and over to Clear Lake. Went around Clear Lake and checked that area out for a while, up this way and to Ukiah. Then I headed north along the 101. I went through Willits, Leggett, Garberville, all the way up here to Fortuna and Eureka. Arcata is another, Arcata, I guess they pronounce it. Arcata is a little town north of Eureka. And I took this road here through Blue Lake up to Willow Creek. Absolutely beautiful. So many trees. So beautiful. Came back down this way and went out through Bridgeville, Dunsmore, and I wanted to go all the way across to Redding on that road, but it was a funny thing. That's on this road here. I had my van in those days, and my van had to use high octane fuel. Well, the last gas station that I saw said it's 100 miles to the next gas station, and they didn't have any high octane fuel. So instead of putting some cheap fuel in my car and hoping I could make it 100 miles, I just turned back and didn't go that way. Okay, headed back down the 101 and through Santa Rosa, down through San Francisco and San Jose. Came down through San Jose, Watsonville. Came over to the coast here. My cousin suggested I should check out Watsonville. Beautiful, beautiful country there. They grow a lot of strawberries and every kind of berry you could think of. Came down to Monterey, across to Salinas, down this way, through Greensfield, King City, down to Paso Robles. What a beautiful place. Then I went south to San Luis Obispo. And I went over to Morro Bay. Came back to San Luis Obispo. Headed south. And came to the coast here near Grover Beach. Then I came south through Santa Maria. I went over to Lompoc and came on down here. Came down the coast to Santa Barbara, on through LA, and back to the base camp. Northern California is just so beautiful. It's like nowhere else I'd ever been. And I thought that some of the towns there were possibilities for a snowbird summer home. This year, I headed out of California. I went through Kingman, I went through Williams, Flagstaff, and headed north. Up this way through Tuba City, Cayente, and up to the Four Corners area. From Four Corners, I went up to Cortez, gorgeous little town. Durango, beautiful. Headed up this way north, up over the mountain passes, up to Silverton. Other mountain passes down to Ouray, Ridgeway. Took a side trip up to Norwood and down to Telluride. What a beautiful place. Oh my gosh. Sawpit, Telluride. Came back this way, up to Montrose. Headed east to Gunnison. Up over Monarch Pass, down into Salida. Down the headwaters of the Arkansas River Canyon, and down to Canyon City. From Canyon City, I went up to Colorado Springs and up to the Denver area where my relatives are. Spent some time with my relatives, and then began to investigate the mountains close by. Came up this way to Woodland Park, Deckers, Lake George, Hartzell, Buena Vista, down this way to Salida. I went south to Alamosa, back, Salida, down to Canyon City. Then when I went out of Pueblo, I investigated a little town called Beulah. And there I saw a bear walking down the street. I happened to be able to get a picture of it. I checked all these little towns up and down the highway here. Walsenburg. From Walsenburg, I went to La Vida. And I was able to go on this road here to Gardner. From Gardner, up here to Westcliff. Some of the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scenery I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely beautiful. But no real towns along there. Westcliff is a nice little town, but there are no real services there. There's a bowling alley, a grocery store. Cute little town. I took a trip back to Montrose because I wanted to go up to this little town of Delta. Some friends of mine's son has a farm there. It's actually up here in Cedar Edge. These two towns my mother grew up in. Then I took another little trip over to Hotchkiss and Peonia. Came back and took this road through Crawford down to Cimarron. This area, the Black Canyon of the Gunnison, is absolutely fabulous. Very beautiful. So I spent a lot of time in Canyon City and Salida along the river here. And then when they predicted the first snow, I headed to Pueblo and south through Walsenburg, Trinidad, and on into New Mexico. It was interesting that day because there were a lot of cars on the highway that had Texas license plates. As soon as we got to Raton, New Mexico, a lot of them headed off on this highway down back to Texas. They were also escaping the snow. New Mexico was not very friendly towards visitors this summer, so they said you just drive through, buy your gas, and keep going. Don't stop. Don't don't camp. Don't get a motel. Just keep going. So I did. I just way down fast as I could go through Santa Fe, through Albuquerque, turned west through Gallup and into Arizona. Coming into Arizona through Holbrook, Winslow, Flagstaff, and down to Sedona. I had always liked the town of Sedona, but I never really spent time there. I got to really spend a lot of time there, and yeah, it's very nice. Went down to Cottonwood, which you can see is right there below. Spent time around Camp Verde and took a drive over into Payson. I'd been to Payson before, and I know it's a beautiful place, but it just didn't grab my heart. I've been from Payson over here to Snowflake, down to Sholo, all beautiful places, but not for me. Came back through Camp Verde and up again, up to Sedona and Flagstaff. I spent a lot of time exploring Williams, looking at property all around Flagstaff, Sedona, and Williams. So I found what I was looking for. I thought that my favorite was going to be Canon City and Salida in Colorado, but it actually turns out to be Flagstaff and Sedona in Arizona. So I made a list of all of the towns that I considered to become a snowbird home, and there were 111. That doesn't even count a lot of the towns that I went through that I just didn't consider for one reason or another. Either there was too much agriculture, so a lot of pesticides, or it was too high elevation, or it was too smoggy, or different reasons. Didn't have any stores, just different reasons. So 111 actually met the criteria. I'll show you the list. I have it divided into first two columns still on the left, Colorado, second batch, Arizona, middle is Southern California, and the last three columns are Northern California. Colorado, Cortez, Durango, Silverton, Ouray, Ridgway, Norwood, Telluride, Montrose, Gunnison, Salida, Nathrop, Buena Vista, Poncha Springs, Alamosa, Cotopaxi, Texas Springs, Canyon City. Up to the next row, Colorado, West Cliff, Silver Cliff, Gardner, Woodland Park, Deckers, Divide, Cripple Creek, Lake George, Hartselle, Antero Junction, Elizabeth, Larkspur, Sedalia, Colorado City, Florence, Penrose, and Lincoln Park. In Arizona, I considered Seligman, Ashfork, Williams, Parks, Belmont, Flagstaff, Tusayan, Cameron, Tuba City, Kayenta, Winona, Winslow, Holbrook, Snowflake, Sholo, and Heber, and Payson. Second column of Arizona, Camp Verde, Rimrock, Sedona, Cottonwood, Clarkdale, Jerome, Prescott Valley, Wickenburg, Chino Valley, Pine, and Strawberry. In Southern California, we considered Big Bear, Arrowhead Lake, Lake Arrowhead, Running Springs, Crestline, Angeles Oaks, Brightwood, Oak Glen, Julian, Pine Valley, Alpine, and Mount Laguna. In Northern California, Grass Valley, Nevada City, Downeyville, Comptonville, Yuba City, Williams, Willows, Orland, Corning, Red Bluff, Anderson, Paynes Creek, Cottonwood, Redding, Lake Shasta, and Lassen. Second row, Florney, Clear Lake, Ukiah, Willits, Leggett, Garberville, Del Rio, Ferndale, Fortuna, Lolita, Eureka, Hydesdale, Arcata, Willow Creek, Mineral, Chester, Lake Almanar. Third row of California up in the north, Gray Eagle, Quincy, Lake Davis, and Susanville. Now you notice here on the Northern California that some of them I have stars after. Those were the ones that really were very good. Red Bluff, Clear Lake, although Clear Lake actually is polluted from a big mine that was up there. Ferndale and Fortuna, very nice towns right near Eureka, all farming communities. Quincy up in the Sierras, and Susanville on the other side of the Sierras, very good. Southern California, Big Bear was number 1. But you know the pollution comes up to Big Bear in the afternoon on the hot summer days. Comes right up the hill from the city. Sorry, that's my foot there holding down the paper because it's windy. So Colorado, hands down, Salida and Canyon City were the number 1 Colorado towns. Finally, Arizona. Arizona, Williams, I gave stars to. And the winner is Flagstaff, Arizona. The runner-up was Canyon City and Salida, but the winner is Flagstaff and Sedona. So I would have to add Delta, Hotchkiss, Paonia, and Cedar Ridge to my list. That gives me 115 towns that I considered. So to sum it up, 3 years travel and investigations, and honorable mention goes to Eureka, California. First runner-up is Salida, Canyon City, Colorado. And the winner is, may I have the envelope, please? Flagstaff, Sedona. So I'll see you next time, everybody. Be sure and remember that Jesus loves you. He is the exact image of the invisible God. He gives you life and breath. I'll see you again. Be sure and like, subscribe, leave a comment. Mwah. Adios. Bye.